The greatest footballer alive stepped up to take one penalty kick. The whole world was watching, and he skied it clean over the bar. On July 17, 1994, Roberto Baggio stepped up from 12 yards in the World Cup final, knowing that if he missed, Italy lost and Brazil were champions. He had carried that entire Italian team to the final almost single-handedly. Without him, Italy would never have stood a chance. He had scored decisive goals against Nigeria, Spain, and Bulgaria just to get them there. And then, in the most important moment of his career, the ball went 3 meters over the crossbar and into the California sky. Baggio himself later said, "It is a wound that never closes." But here's the thing, and this is what people always get wrong about these moments. It wasn't a lack of ability. It wasn't nerves in the simple sense. What happened to Baggio is explained by something called reinvestment theory, the de-automatization of skill, which happens when a player's attentional focus shifts from external to internal under extreme pressure. In plain English, his brain grabbed the wheel from his muscles at the exact moment it should have stayed out of the way. Baggio had taken thousands of penalties. His body knew exactly what to do. The problem was his mind started thinking about it. And the moment you consciously try to control a skill your body has automated, it falls apart. He didn't forget how to take a penalty. He thought about it too hard. And that's the first thing every football legend who choked has in common. But there's a second layer to this, because some players don't just choke in a single moment. Some carry the weight for years, and nobody shows that better than Messi. Lionel Messi announced his retirement from international football in June 2016 after missing his penalty in a shootout, as Argentina lost to Chile in the Copa América final, his fourth major final defeat in 9 years. Think about that for a second. 4 finals, 4 losses. And after each one, the expectation on him didn't shrink. It grew. He had lost 3 Copa América finals and the 2014 World Cup final against Germany. He walked away convinced he was cursed, that the biggest stage simply wasn't for him. And when the greatest player on the planet believes that about himself, you're not dealing with a skill problem anymore. You're dealing with a belief problem. The expectation of an entire nation had stopped being fuel and had become a weight, tightening him at every decisive moment, making the fear of losing bigger than the joy of playing. What makes Messi's story so important here is what happened next, because this is still the open question most people never think about. How does a player come back from that? We'll get to that. But first, we need to talk about the case that proves pressure doesn't just cloud your mind. Sometimes it shuts your body down completely. On the afternoon of July 12, 1998, Ronaldo suffered a medical incident at Brazil's team hotel. Reports from teammates revealed that he had collapsed and suffered convulsions while resting in his room. He lost consciousness and spent 3 hours in a local hospital. After preliminary tests did not flag up any abnormalities, he was discharged shortly before kickoff and insisted he wanted to play. Brazil lost the final 3-0, and Ronaldo was nothing more than a ghostly parody of the explosive genius fans had become accustomed to. The best striker on earth completely switched off. The official account points to a sudden, undiagnosed medical anomaly, likely exacerbated by the immense stress and pressure of the occasion. Some fans point to the almost inconceivable psychological pressure on Ronaldo, a 21-year-old carrying a proud footballing nation's hopes. Stress-induced seizures, while rare, are definitely possible. The striker's body could have buckled under the weight of expectation. Whatever the full truth is, the lesson is the same. Pressure doesn't only cloud decisions. At its extreme, it can physically switch a great player off. So we've seen it destroy an individual moment. We've seen it haunt a career. We've seen it shut a body down. But what happens when an entire team chokes at once? What happens when the belief collapses collectively? England on penalties. Decades of it. Louis van Gaal famously substituted in goalkeeper Tim Krul before a shootout at the 2014 World Cup, and Krul saved 2 kicks to send the Netherlands through. England never had a plan like that. They just walked up to the spot and hoped for the best, generation after generation. And that's because what England built wasn't bad luck. It was a belief system. We always lose on penalties became a self-fulfilling prophecy passed from one squad to the next, so that players walked to the spot already carrying the ghosts of every miss that came before them. That's learned helplessness operating at a national scale. The expectation of failure quietly producing the failure. And if you want to see that happen in real time, at maximum speed, in front of 200 million people, Brazil, 2014, hosting the World Cup, missing their talisman, carrying the impossible hope of an entire country. And they didn't just lose a semifinal, they disintegrated 7-1 in front of their own fans. You could watch belief die on screen. The sprinting stopped, the shape collapsed, heads dropped before the scoreboard had even confirmed it. The talent was still there, the nerve was gone. If you've been watching this channel for a while, drop in the comments. Which one of these do you think is the worst choke in football history? Because the debate is genuinely interesting. And if you're new here, subscribe. We go this deep on football every single week. Now, back to Messi. Because we left him retired, convinced he was cursed, and that's not where his story ends. None of what followed would have happened had he stuck to his decision, a call he later reversed due to his sheer love for Argentina. He came back. He reframed the pressure, and then, in almost poetic fashion, he went on to win 3 consecutive finals. The 2021 Copa América, the 2022 FIFA World Cup, and the 2024 Copa América. Same man, same feat, a completely different mind. And that's the truth that ties every single one of these legends together. Choking is not weakness. It's not a lack of talent. It's the price of caring, and it's exactly what extreme pressure does to the human brain. The stage becomes a threat. The fear of losing outweighs the joy of competing, and the mind grabs control of skills that should run completely free. Baggio thought too hard. Messi believed the wrong story for years. Ronaldo's body gave out under the weight of the moment. England built a culture of defeat. Brazil lost their nerve as a group all at once. The players we call clutch aren't fearless. They hear the exact same noise as everyone else. They've just learned, sometimes after years of failure, to turn the volume down for 10 crucial seconds. That's the real story of every football legend who choked. The biggest moments in this sport were never decided by the feet. They were decided every single time by the mind. If that got you thinking, watch this one next.